Welcome, everyone, to Monday Afternoon Roundtable. It's good to see everyone. I got my good friend with me today, David Doan. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you.
And the little backstory with Dave, he was here on a previous episode. We had a little get-together one night, kind of an open house.
Yeah, it was open house.
Yeah, and we did a last call with a group of people.
We sure did.
And some in that group drank a little more than they should, so we had to.
Well, it was an open house. That was a mistake you made.
Yes, it was. But it was. We had a good time and all. But in talking with Dave, he and we met 10 years ago, maybe. Probably, I give or take.
Yeah, I would say.
And Dave's beautiful wife's here with him. She's behind the camera, but Judy. But when we met, it was at a bar.
Yes, I think my son introduced us.
He did, and I met him. He was on a jury, if I'm
yes.
And,
yes.
I met him through that, and then he introduced me to you guys, and we hit it off, and we've been good friends ever since.
Yes, we have.
So I wanted to make sure Dave's got a unique background, and I want to talk about that a little bit, your military career, and go into that because every time we go to the bar, and let's give our shout out to our bar. It's Crescent Moon.
Crescent Moon in Hickory,
North Carolina. Brian's the owner, and Tanya is the bartender there.
The best bartender.
She is, and we're going to have her on sometime. She didn't make it to that other little party we had.
Didn't.
But Tanya's our favorite bartender. We'll bring her down. But before we start, as you can tell by Dave, he's from
England.
What part?
Bristol, England.
Bristol, England.
In the southwest.
And so he's got this unique accent. So what I wanted to do with some of these slang words that the Brits use, one being bloke.
Yeah, well, that's a man.
He's a bloke. He's the dirty bloke or the bloke down the street or whatever it wants to be.
It's kind of a generic term for a man.
And what's the booger all? Bugger all.
That means you didn't do nothing all day.
he's just bugger all day long. And I love that one. Yeah.
I got a joke about that, too.
Okay, let me hear it. It's bugger all.
I got to remember the song. I can't remember the song. We'll
okay. We'll get to it in a minute. A dosh for money. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Dosh?
Yep, dosh, yep.
And we won't say that one.
No.
A gob means your mouth.
Yep.
Running your gob.
Running your gob or stuffing your face, we used to say.
Knackered?
Knackered means you're extremely tired.
Okay. And I love this one. Knees up.
Knees up. Well, actually, it was a popular song called Knees Up, Mother Brown, but anytime anyone mentions a knees up, you're going to a party.
Going to a party, okay.
And knackered actually comes from when they used to take the horses to go to the knacker's yard to be made into glue. It means you're completely
You're done.
Spent.
You're at the end of your rope.
Yep, you're at the end of your rope.
Shit's going downhill from here.
Yep.
Okay, and then the loo. We all know what the loo is.
That's the bathroom.
Yeah. And the mate, we've heard that one. That's kind of term.
Yeah, that's generic. I mean, they call everybody mate over there, whether they're children, females, males.
And the pagan is London street slang for someone untrustworthy.
Yes.
What we can do, Judy and Dave, when we're at the bar and somebody comes in, I say, he's a pagan.
Right.
But around here, that's a motorcycle
That's a motorcycle
gang.
club.
So you got to be careful with that.
Right.
And we've heard the pint. And is it plunker?
Plunker.
What does that mean?
A
bit stupid.
Someone you would consider an idiot.
That's the one we're going to use at the bar. Judy, if someone comes in, we can say, he's a plunker.
Right. And they won't have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, plunker. And punter means a customer.
Punter, yeah. Or the guys at the racetrack, at horse races, would call anyone who's placing a bet a punter.
Okay. I didn't know that. I have to remember that because I like to go to the horse tracks.
Yeah, so do we.
Don't say anything to Janice about that. Anyhow. Shag. We all know what shag is.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we know what that is.
It's not carpet.
Take the Mickey. Got to go pee?
No. It's making fun of someone.
Oh, okay. The local means your local
pub. Yep. Local watering hole.
And we know what that one is.
Yep.
Wankered.
Wankered. I've never heard it
Wankered.
used like that.
It's usually complete. Means to be drunk.
Oh, yeah. Snookered.
Snookered is the better one. Okay.
Yeah, I never used wankered.
That's a couple that I found and I wanted to talk to you about to make sure I had the meaning correct. What I want to talk about now is your military career. And I want to talk about the differences from our military organizations, which the one you were assigned was, you said, similar to our National Guard,
Yes.
where our,
Yeah,
where our
that would
listeners can kind of
be
tell.
the closest thing. It's pretty much the same as the National Guard.
Okay.
In case of emergency, we were there to round out the regular Army
Let's do
units.
this.
Yeah, that's and
When you say round out, you mean provide assistance if they need it?
actually, towards the end of the 70s into the 80s, they were used more. We were, what I was in was called the Territorial Army Volunteer Reserve. And that is basically the same, like I said, as the National Guard. And they would be used like with the Falklands. There were actually some TA units called up to participate in getting the Falkland Islands back.
Okay, I remember that. And one question I had, and I didn't know because I'm a baby boomer like the two of you,
Right.
but the Vietnam War, England didn't participate. You had your own kind of.
No, I'm sure some of our special forces
Went.
were involved, but
Okay,
we
probably so.
didn't send regular
troops,
army over
okay.
there. Australia was involved in that with their army,
Right.
which was part of the British Commonwealth.
And what was the biggest threat to the UK?
UK,
Besides,
obviously Russia.
Right.
I fought what was the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
I joined up in 1969 and served through 1981 when 1981 was when I emigrated and came to America. But we basically fought the Cold War.
Okay.
There was nothing, no battles fought, but we were there to deter Russia from running over Europe.
Right. And I was fortunate with the age that I am. I just missed the Vietnam
Yeah.
War. And a lot of our guys, friends of mine through school, 2 or 3 years older, had to go.
Right.
But luckily,
Yeah, I mean,
my
if
age
I'd have
group
been
missed
in
it.
America or born in America,
You'd have
I
been there
definitely
probably,
would have
yeah,
been called
yeah.
up.
Now, you weren't under a draft. You joined, I'm assuming. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that's why it was called the Volunteer Reserve.
And which division were you part of?
I was part of 155 Wessex Regiment, 245 Squadron, RCT, and we had a little V on the end because we were volunteers.
So the Royal,
Corps of Transport.
and your buddies called it,
Well, the infantry,
the other guys
the
called
other
it.
guys called us Royal Cabs and Taxis.
Okay. RCT guys coming.
Yep.
Yeah, but you were mostly for transportation, is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Actually, the first uniform branch was formed in, I got the date wrote down here somewhere, 1794.
Oh, wow.
They only lasted a year. I don't know why. They didn't tell me that. But that was the first uniform branch, and they were called wagoneers because it was all mules and horses
Yeah.
and carts. And over the years, things changed. But in I believe it was 65 until, I thought I had that wrote down. But anyway, they disbanded the RCT and rolled it into what they now call the Royal Logistics Corps.
Okay, that makes sense. And some of your colleagues that you were assigned with, do you still have contact with those
Yes.
guys? And,
Yeah,
okay.
we maintain contact. We have a Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
245 Squadron. It's on Facebook.
Well, look it up. I've seen some of the photographs. They're pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. That's
On And Dave's got some photographs that we're going to download into our page where you can see some of these cool photos.
right.
The one that I want to talk about the most was the one with the motorcycle. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I grew up with a great love of motorcycles my whole life. I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah, we'll
we'll get it downloaded.
Yeah.
Downloaded. That was a 350 BSA modified for single cylinder 4-stroke, modified for the Army's use. All they did was get a slightly lower ratio in the gearbox and put trials tires on it, which aren't even knobby tires like you see in motocross, but they helped off-road.
yeah.
Wouldn't do more than about 50 miles an hour because it was geared down to go off-road.
But what was the purpose for
That was my job on that was to escort convoys of trucks.
Okay.
Uh,
Would
make-
you go? Would you
make
go
sure
ahead?
they we would go ahead, make sure they took the right turning, count them through, normally you would only be in charge of 5 trucks,
Okay.
but we weren't always up to full strength with personnel, and sometimes I'd 15 trucks I'd be taking care of, and then we'd have another guy on a motorcycle taking care of the last 15.
Wow.
And they always traveled in packets of 5, so there'd be 5 trucks, and then a space of 5 minutes, another 5 trucks, space of 5 minutes, another 5 trucks. My job would be to make sure they took the right turn to begin with,
Stay on route.
and then count them through, the ones I was looking after, and then I'd have to go like a bat of you-know-where and get in front again to make sure they didn't get lost.
Wow. And it's something similar back when the Iraq War first broke out. I was with the Highway Patrol then, and my duty station was I-95. And, of course, all the infantry from
Right.
Fort Bragg were being deployed.
Right.
And it was 24/7, the trucks. And they
Yeah.
would bring them in convoys of like 50
Yeah.
at a time. But they had
Motorcycle
they
outrider.
didn't have the motorcycle. They had the Jeeps and
Right,
MPs or whatever on both ends. But it was 24/7.
Yeah.
But they also, what I found neat, the logistics section had about every 50 miles or so, they would have little garages set
Right.
up for them because there was so
To
many
refuel
coming
and-
through. I didn't know Fort Bragg had that many units or trucks and
right.
everything that they put on ships.
Well, that's the other interesting thing. You brought that up, David. Where I was stationed, it was like an armory you have over here. We called it the drill hole. We probably only had maybe 8 or 9 trucks
Huh.
there. But whenever we went on exercise, we would go to Germany every couple of years and exercise over there, like I said, as our deterrent for the Russians. And we would draw the regiment, 245 Squadron, as a regiment, would draw over 200 vehicles.
Wow.
And we would load on the ferries, sometimes a civilian ferry, sometimes Army LST craft. We preferred the civilian ones because they had a bar. But I vividly remember pulling in Hamburg on a Army LST. We had 200 vehicles, trucks, motorcycles, Land Rovers, and we got off at the port. They lined us all up, nose to tail, 200 vehicles. We had a police escort through Hamburg. They didn't want us, tying up traffic in Hamburg.
Well, and see, that was the problem on 95
Yeah.
when they were doing that. We had a hell of a mess because
So
everyone wanted to slow down.
We had police cars with their lights going. We had policemen on motorcycles.
Wow.
I mean, we flew out of there. I mean, red lights, nothing. You didn't stop for nothing.
That's cool. And were you carrying personnel or equipment?
We most of the time we run around empty
Now, what the shit was that for? What was?
because they didn't. We weren't actually supporting anyone. We were just over there to practice our role.
Oh, okay, okay.
And our role was to take supplies from the rear, which could be anywhere from 100, 200, 300 miles back, wherever it was being unloaded at a port, and drive it up to within a mile of the front line. And then infantry units would bring their own trucks back to our distribution point, where we had whatever they needed, be it petrol, oil, lubricants, ammunition, food, whatever they needed. We would set up in the woods, and they would come and draw whatever they needed to keep fighting the battle.
Wow. Okay. You're speaking of that. I had this is one of our previous presidents, and I won't tell which one, but it was an assignment that when I was with the patrol as a major. We had to move the president. POTUS was what he was called from point A to point B.
Right.
And it was about a 60-mile trip they were going to do by vehicle because it was overcast.
Yeah.
And it was down on the coast, and Secret Service, they were doing their thing, and I was extremely impressed of how they were doing everything. Well, the head agent come up to me and says, Major Munday, we're gonna change our route, and we got the motorcade and all this other stuff. But POTUS is not going to be in it.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
going, well, why are we doing it?
Right.
I couldn't understand because
As
anyhow,
a decoy.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. And he flew in Marine One from the air base to the location, which made sense.
Right.
But it was pretty cool in that motorcade. They did the same thing. It was stopping for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And our motor units were the lead and the trail cars.
Yeah.
And they would leapfrog at intersections. And, of course, you didn't slow down. You went through the intersection.
Yeah, that was my role. And I'm not sure legality of Army personnel stopping traffic,
Gotta do what you got
when,
to do.
when you got a 9mm submachine gun strapped to your chest, they pay attention.
Damn Skippy, they do. Tell me what this is.
That actually, I meant to show you that. Going back to it, I joined, like I said, in 1969. I had a motorcycle from when I was 16 years old. At 69, well, I was 18 when I joined. I turned 19, 69. And I'd taken one car test and failed. Never bothered taking another one. I had my
I
motorcycle.
didn't know this story.
And when I joined the Army, instead of putting me through a car test, they put me straight into the 4-tonner,
Okay.
which is one of those, the smaller of those trucks. I took my 4-tonner test, and it was a lot more rigorous. It was kind of like the CDL test now. You had to go through the cones and all this stuff. And I passed that, so I never needed to take a car test. I went straight into what they call heavy goods.
Cool. And that was your
and
license?
That's a heavy goods vehicle driver's license.
Oh, how cool was that? And you got your seal
Yes.
on your shirt there.
Yeah, that was our regimental cap badge.
And that's been retired since.
It's been retired now because it's no longer Elizabeth Rains, it's Charles Rains.
I never knew his middle name was Nigel.
Yes. You had to bring that up.
You have messed up, Bo. David Nigel. I love it. Anyhow, that's cool.
So
I know
that was cool.
a lot of history there.
And that camp, it was my first full camp. Our regiment was one of the first, instead of going like the boot camp, like your people do over here for National Guard, they go and get trained by regular Army soldiers.
Right.
They decided to save money, they'd have the TA unit do it. So we didn't do an actual boot camp, but over the course of, I think it was 3 months, we did every other weekend, and we got instructed on how to march and shoot and all the stuff you would do at boot camp, but it was all done by our regiment. It was in-house. And we continued to do that until I left. Wow. But I know now they send them to regular Army boot camp. They go for 8 weeks.
Now, did this career in the military set you up for your career that you had here in the United States, driving a long-haul truck?
Yes, I drove tractor trailers for 40 years plus.
Wow. When I met you, that's what you were doing. You were driving the truck at that time. And you have how many miles?
Over 4 million.
4 million miles.
And
that's a lot of miles.
That's, I believe it was 14 times around the world.
Okay, wow.
Or 7.5 times to the moon and back.
There you go. but I used to see Judy a lot, and she'd say Dave's on the road, or whatever. So that was pretty neat. And you came to the United States in
1981.
81, and then you moved around a little bit. Your son, Kevin.
Yep, we settled in Connecticut when we first came over for 9 years. 4 years in Massachusetts on the New York border in the Berkshires.
Right.
Judy got fed up with the snow up there, and my son had the first grandchild, which Judy helped raise while they were at work for 6 months. And they moved to Greensboro. He worked for Home Depot at the time. And he got transferred to Greensboro, so Judy's like, I'm done with the snow, take me down to my grandchild.
Let's go south.
Let's go south.
And you have a lovely daughter who lives in the Myrtle Beach area.
Beach, yeah, Tracy.
I haven't seen Tracy in a long time. Think the world of her and Kevin both, so they're like my family. But okay, you started over here, and it was me being with the Highway Patrol, you being a long haul truck driver. Sometimes there's always a rub there or whatever.
Right.
But how did you look at the Highway Patrols throughout the nation when you would travel in your truck? Did you have some worse than others, or?
I'm glad you asked me that.
Okay, I want to hear this.
I've never had a bad experience with a highway patrolman, DOT inspector. I got a lot of respect for what you guys do.
Well, good. Not many truck drivers can say that. A lot of them do.
I think police are very underappreciated.
And we were talking about that last episode, how we had our nephew, the retired chief of police.
I watched that one.
And he was talking about that was his biggest challenge, was getting qualified, or not necessarily good people, but people that wanted to be in the business and make a lifetime of it. And
I do have one episode. I mean, I don't know if it was my accent, but I managed to escape quite a few speeding tickets in the truck. Got let off by very generous police officers.
Did you act like you didn't understand Southern, or what was it?
No. But I had this one guy. We were living in Greensboro. And
he probably thought you were from Mars.
I had a 1,000cc Gold Wing motorcycle. And I'm doing 70 miles an hour in a 55.
That's not good.
So he pulled me over. Fair cop, yeah, I was speeding, can't deny it. So we get to talking. He got me in the patrol car. I'm sat in the passenger seat, and we're talking. He picks up on my British accent, and he said, well, I was over in England. I think he was over there with the forces before he joined the highway patrol. And he said, I dated this girl, can't remember her name, but he said we were talking about her father, and he said her father's name was Jack Palfrey. I said, well, my dad worked with a Jack Palfrey. I said, he worked for Cadbury's in England. And I said, I worked there too. I said, we all worked at the chocolate factory. I thought, I'm golden now. He's going to let me off with a warning. No, he didn't. He gave me the damn ticket.
Well, and but you could have, it could have gone either way there. So
right, yeah.
I'm sure you went to court and got that handled.
Yeah, he advised me to go and get my speedo checked.
And then you got improper equipment. There you go.
I did get it checked and it was right, but I didn't tell the judge that.
See, it was right on the money.
I told him it was slow.
That's right.
Well, actually fast, not slow. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you've bought a home in this local area, close to our little restaurant and bar we go to.
Yes.
So I'm hoping this is going to be your home.
Oh yeah.
From now
yeah,
on. You're not moving back.
We're not moving. No, we've been here 42 years this year, I guess.
And luckily, I've had the opportunity of meeting a lot of your family on both sides, and I just love them all, and they're just like part of my family. And Janice and I think the world of all of you. So I'm really glad you were able to come on the show, and we wanted to have you, like I said during that other last call segment. But you bought a special. I want to show our viewers, especially you're gonna go off screen just a minute, but Dave's got a special bottle. We're not going to uncork it today, but tell us a little bit about this and how you come about this Jack Daniel's Tennessee Bicentennial.
Yeah, it was a 200th anniversary of Jack Daniel's making whiskey. He had a special bottle made with I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it has a twisted neck on it, so it's a unique bottle. And I've seen on eBay empty bottles are going for $75 with nothing in them just because of the unique design of the twist. But a good friend of mine, he's passed on since, but he was a farmer, grew up all his life in North Carolina, really nice man. I met him at Bluegrass Festival. And I always wore my straw cowboy hat at the Bluegrass Festival. I had a hat band which said Jack Daniels on it. And Barry, his name was Berry. I always called him Barry for a long time. I thought it was just his accent, but his real name was Barry.
Barry.
Yeah. And he said to me one day, he said, well, I like your hat, David. I said, yeah. I said, Barry, that's my two best friends. He said, who's that? I said, well, Jack and Charlie Daniels. He thought that was hilarious. So he said, well, I got this bottle of whiskey at home. I'm going to give it to you. And I didn't have a clue what it was. But his son-in-law, actually, when Barry brought it to the Bluegrass Festival and gave it to me, he ran straight up to me and said, I'll give you $100 for that right now.
I'm sure he would have.
And I said, no. I said, Barry gave it to me. He wanted me to have it. And the reason he wanted me to have it, I think, was because he didn't want his son-in-law to have it.
Well, I understand that as well.
He said, the family's just going to fight over it when I die. So he said, I want you to have it. I said, okay, well, thank you very much. So I told Barry then, I said I would never sell it. I said, one day I'm going to open it and drink it.
One day.
One day. And
I want to be a part of that.
We're not sure if today's the day.
No, it's not the day.
But I just wanted to put this out there because I know you folks that watch these podcasts have all seen The Last Call and a lot of the different whiskeys they've tried, and I've wondered if we could get any kind of feedback on the Facebook page.
And I'm sure we will, and that's the majority of feedback we've been getting is on the alcohol
right.
portion of the Last Call section. And
well,
that's the one we have the most
look
fun
forward
with.
to that.
Yeah,
that
most people skip through the other bullshit and
right.
go straight to the Last Call. But I appreciate this, Dave. You didn't have to bring this to me, but I appreciate it. And I'll enjoy it. No, we're going to set it right back here for right now, but it's I'll put it right here.
Yeah.
It's that's pretty cool. Ooh. But anyhow, Tim is going to join us in a little bit. He's got a story about Jack Daniels. He did a little research, and I think it's pretty
and
cool.
the other reason I brought that today, I don't know if you know, but would it improve with age or does it get worse?
Improves.
Okay. So,
Yeah, it improves in value. I know.
right.
You checked the value on this, or she did earlier. One of the ladies.
Yeah. Tasha, was it?
Yeah,
Looked it
Tasha.
up? Yeah. $1,600 they think they're going for now.
That's pretty cool, and that'll be you need to save that to a special occasion.
Yeah.
Especially with the guy that gave it to you, and his name was
Barry Andrews. Yeah, he unfortunately passed during COVID. So we weren't able to go to any kind of funeral or wake for him. And I mean, we did bluegrass festivals twice a year for almost 20 years, my wife and I.
Well,
I had a whole bunch of friends, and I really wanted to save that bottle until we could all get together and toast Barry.
well, cool. When you drink it, that's what you should do.
Yeah, I'll save you a drop.
Please do. Just a little bit. What was the last bluegrass festival you went to?
It's been a few years. We
Has
haven't
it?
gone in quite a long
Well,
time.
COVID slowed everything down.
Yeah.
And you talked about Barry's death, and during COVID, all those people that passed during that time, which so many,
right.
Really didn't get to honor
No,
them,
we
their
didn't.
lives.
No.
And that's sad, you know. But I think that precedence has kind of moved forward. Some of my friends that have passed since COVID, they just said, well, we're going to do something later, or the family hasn't decided.
Right.
Which I
right.
think it's disrespectful in a way to the person that died, because he had friends or she had friends and want to share just like that story.
Yeah.
Dave, it's been great. I appreciate it, and we're going to do it again soon, I hope. And we're going to bring the gang back in a little bit and do a last call with a really good whiskey. But until next time, and I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Last call coming up. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. Last call, Monday afternoon roundtable. We have a really good group here today. We've got our friend Judy Doan and Dave Doan. Dave was our guest on today's episode, so we will make sure you watch that. We talk about Dave's military career and his move from England over to the United States, and a little bit of background about him. So it's a really good show, and I want you all to watch it. Jason, we got a good blend today. What have we got?
Yeah, we have the Crown Royal Noble Collection Cornerstone Blend. What's really good about this is we've got our guests from England, and we're from America, and we're having the Canadian whiskey. But everybody likes Crown Royal, so I think we can really work on that. It'll be good. This particular whiskey is the first limited release from Crown Royal's Noble Collection. It's got a real good backstory. It was kept in a special rail car which went all over Canada to ensure the whiskey's safekeeping in the event that anything happened to the Crown Royal distillery. And me and Tim were talking last week when we were doing the research on this. I didn't realize it, but distilleries are a fire hazard. Yeah, so this is they really took extra due diligence to keep this whiskey safe.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's 80 proof, 40% alcohol. Its aroma is ripe fallen apple, malted grain, toffee, and vanilla extract. The taste is sweet caramel with rich roasted grains, subtle oak character with orchard and tropical fruit. The finish is fruity tartness, fades into a gentle woody spice.
They should hire you to do their.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
Yeah.
Crown Royal people, I'm always looking for
Favorite.
extra.
Royal.
Yeah, extra
And
gigs.
so we got Crown Royal glasses, so that's fitting as well.
Thank you.
So,
Me and Tasha can
you want to share? Okay.
We can share.
All right.
Cheers.
And
Cheers.
everyone. Glad to have
Cheers.
folks here. And
Cheers, 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 cheers.
well, everybody. Cheers. Taste.
You can taste the crown smell, can't you?
Oh, it's so good.
That's good.
You can't beat that. And you can taste so many of the flavors in Crown's. What I like about it. It's not too. What's the matter?
Little stout.
We always enjoy the first drink, the spaces that people make. So, what's wrong over there? You okay? Okay. Anyhow, we're gonna give the score, Dave. We score from 1 to 10. Of course, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Have another little sip because you really can't score until you've had about
No.
2 or 3.
Dave,
No,
have you had this before?
No, I haven't. I've had
Thanks, vanilla.
several Crown Royals, but usually drink the Crown Royal vanilla. My son's favorite
I
tipple.
like it too. And the apple.
Yeah, and apple. Yeah, I like the apple too.
The Crown XR is good.
And this, I must say, the first sip was kind of hard. I'm not really a big whiskey drinker or bourbon, but the second one's a whole lot better.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I got more taste, I think, from the second sip.
And Judy, talk about our favorite bartender, Tanya. We're gonna have her on pretty soon, but
Yes, I mean, she would love this, I'm sure. I'm not a whiskey drinker. My parents were, and the more whiskey, they had a dartboard in their living room, and the more whiskey they drank, the better they got at darts, and the less clothes my father wore. That's how I grew up.
I like your dad.
Sounds fun.
I know.
Yeah,
You know,
he
that's a cool story.
he would strip down to his vest in tidy whities and play darts.
It was fun.
Yeah, skinny legs.
He was a big man. He was bigger than you.
All right, our guest Judy. What's the score? 1 to 10. What do you think,
I will give it an 8.
Good score.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm leaning 8.5 to 9. Actually, I quite like it.
10.
Full of 9.
Tasha?
9. That's good.
I'll give it a 9. Really smooth.
Old Big Dave, Jason.
An 8.
I'm getting a solid 10.
Really?
That's
That's our first 10.
our
Is that
first 10. Our first 10.
Yep.
That's our first 10.
Wow.
So you're not gonna beat this. It's good
That's
going
very
down.
Yeah, it gets better the more you drink it.
I'd give it a 20 if I could. Judy.
Any more?
Yeah, I appreciate again you both coming. It's been a good group. What we got on board next week?
Next week is Jason's guest.
Yeah, I've got a friend that I worked with at Statesville Police Department back in the late 90s, David Childers. He is a Marine, former Marine, not that they always stay a Marine once they are a Marine. Worked at Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Iredell County Sheriff's Office, and Statesville Police Department. Also was a contractor overseas for, I want to say, a decade. He is also an author of a book. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's in regards to his service dog. And he's going to bring his service dog with him and bring the book
right.
and talk about,
Nice.
how the service dog helps him with PTSD and things like that. So he's a great guy, one of the hardest working police officers I ever worked with.
I'll look forward to that. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
That'll be
it's cool.
a unique show. Anyhow, again, thank you both for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Come back.
Here with us
It
today.
will warm down
Yes.
inside.
It warms your Google.
Y'all are always welcome here anytime.
You know that.
Thank you.
Last call. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
See you
y'all.
next time.
Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and
Correct.
comment.
Yes.
Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all the social media platforms.
This morning we were 575.
Wow, good deal.
Next time.
Thank y'all.
Cheers.
Good night.